Yo, what up guys? I wanted to make an impromptu video showcasing everything that's coming to phase 3 for Rogue. And I'm kind of excited. I think we got a lot of big changes and I want to go through all of them. Unfortunately for Rogue though, I still feel like we're getting the short end of the stick compared to a lot of other classes, like hybrid classes, for example. I know for a fact that the development team wants to make every hybrid class good, and I don't blame them for it. But at the same time, I feel like Rogue is constantly being left in the dust, especially because if you look at Rogue, what do we provide for everybody else in the group? We bring no raid buff, we bring mediocre damage. Maybe that'll change in phase 3, but after phase 2, I don't want to get my hopes up. And all we can do is really tank. And in PvP, we're okay. In PvP, we're not even that good. Other classes that are hybrid are just simply outscaling us. They can outsurvive us because they're tankier. They can heal. They can outdamage us too, whether that's single target, AoE, and they can do it from safety. So if you have like a Boomkin or a Priest, well, guess what? They're tankier, they can heal, and they can outdamage us. And they provide raid buffs for their other members in their group. Like, they do so much, and Rogue does like nothing. All we do is stun and die pretty much in group PvP. And if we're talking about solo PvP, if you're competing against competent players, well, you're still gonna get crapped on, because the only thing rogues are good at is singling people out, and we can't even do that effectively anymore. So I think Rogue is okay. We definitely can be okay in solo PvP, but we have to blow every cooldown, and it's kind of annoying. But enough of that. Let's actually talk about everything Rogue is going to be getting. And first up, we're going to talk about the elephant in the room, all the new runes that we're going to be getting. The two slots we're going to have runes in are the wrist slot and the head slot. And in head, we're going to have combat potency, which I think came in TBC, which gives us energy on our offhand strikes, like a 20% chance to gain energy on offhand. Focused attack, which gives every crit 2 energy. And honor among thieves, which I think is going to be more of a PvP option. When any player in your party gets a critical strike, you gain a combo point. So if you're in a group PvP situation, honor among thieves, it might be good. Other than that, you're going to want to run combat potency. Focused attack is actually pretty damn garbage. Okay, and then we have the wrist slot, which is going to be quite interesting. We have Carnage, which makes all our abilities deal 20% increased damage whenever we have a bleed effect on the target. Very PvE oriented rune, still really strong, and it's actually going to be the best actual rune in this slot, even better than Cut to the Chase. I think Cut to the Chase would make our rotation a lot simpler and easier to manage, but Carnage, while we will have to be balancing 3 different finisher moves with Carnage, it does do more damage. And if you want to know why, you can go look over at Simonize. He has a whole spreadsheet. I'm sure he'll make a video on it. He's like the GOAT for Rogue and creating sim spreadsheets for all the best damage we can deal. So yeah, apparently Carnage is going to be goated even for Mutilate Rogue. And then you have Unfair Advantage, which I'm honestly not sure if it's going to be all that good. Maybe it'll be good for Tank Rogue. I don't know if an extra melee attack every second. We basically get an extra melee swing every second is what it does when you're tanking. So maybe that extra melee swing every second is going to be better than Carnage, but I'm kind of doubtful. Maybe if you run like a very high damage main hand with Saber Slash, if you're a tank, maybe it'll be good. I'm not sure yet. I don't believe he has a spreadsheet going over that yet, but it's going to be interesting, at least for PvE. I don't think you're going to want to run Carnage or Cut to the Chase for PvP. So for PvP, Unfair Advantage. And I'll make another video on it later, but this is going to be the Mutilate PvE max DPS spec right here. Again, it's going to look very similar to the Gnomeregan spec, but with improved backstab and a little bit of extra talents like Seal Fate. Anyways, yeah, that's going to be our runes and our talents and all that stuff. Now we could take a look at the Emerald Dream, the new faction. If you don't know, there's a new PvE event where you can go into any of the 4 portals around the world in the game, and then once you go through them, you can kill creatures, kind of like a PvE Blood Moon event. That's kind of what it is. You get there, get tokens or something, and you can turn those in to a vendor and get gear, and this is what the gear is going to be. So you get the Emerald Leather set, which is going to be kind of it's more like a PvP set, I almost feel like, because of how much stamina it has compared to the other damage oriented stats it has on it. And the 3 set and 6 set aren't going to be that good, but they're going to be pretty decent for PvP. So I think this is more of a PvP set. And so is it that good? I don't know yet. Maybe it'll be good. I don't quite know what the actual set will look like in terms of appearance, but yeah, it looks like it'll be kind of like a weird PvP set to have on before you go into the raid if you wanted to do that. Kind of interesting. I think it's cool that we have more sets in the game. And then we can actually take a look at the raid weapons and all the raid gear which we have. So if you didn't know, we're going to have Sunken Temple as the new raid, and in it we're going to have obviously new gear, new weapons, and all that good stuff. So if you see here, you can see every new weapon here. And because Mutilate is going to be the best DPS pretty much by far, it beats out Saber Slash by like 60 DPS. So it kind of destroys Saber Slash. We're going to be running Mutilate. Thus, we're going to be using daggers, which if you want to see what dagger we're going to be running, in the main hand, we're going to have the Degraded Dire Knell. Or I believe the other option is we actually have the STV event dagger, which literally is the exact same thing, the Gurabashi Backstabber. Literally the same thing, it just looks way cooler. So yeah, I think actually they look pretty much the same. Pretty cool. Yeah, that's going to be the main hand dagger. It's probably going to be a lot easier to get the dagger from the STV event because you can farm it every 3 hours rather than doing the raid. And other than that, just like with Phase 2 though, the offhand weapon is going to be like a random high attack speed dagger. I believe Julie's dagger is the name of the dagger we're going to be using in our offhand for the most damage. But kind of underwhelming to have to use a non-epic, non-raid weapon for the offhand, but as of right now, we just want to have a high attack speed offhand weapon for poison proc. So yeah, that is what we'll be running in terms of weapons. But if you wanted to look at the other cool weapons we have here, we have the Cobra Fang Claw, which is going to be a 2-set for, I don't know if we're going to use it or not, but it looks quite cool. It has an extra attack on your next swing proc, and the offhand has another proc that does poison to the attacker and reduces nature resistance and increases nature damage taken, which is going to be quite cool. And if you look at the 2-set proc, gives you a chance to get 150 attack power. So I don't know actually if it's going to be all that good. We're going to have to wait to see if the Sims for it are going to be that cool, but I like the idea of it. It might be more oriented for Fury Warrior and Enhancement Shaman, but hey, maybe Rogue will be able to use it and actually pop off with it. We'll have to wait and see. And for the ranged weapon, looks like that melees are going to get their own bow here, which you can see here that gives 14 attack power, 3 strength, and 5 stamina. Pretty much guaranteed we're going to use that, while hunters are going to want the Dreadstalker's hunting bow. And in terms of gear, this is going to be all the actual leather gear we're going to be having. I'm not quite sure which one is going to be better for DPS. I would assume the Blood Corrupted Tunic. We can actually, let's go ahead and take a look at the spreadsheet here. So if we take a look at the max damage, and this is going to be the Simonized sheet that I was talking about, looks like the Blood Corrupted tier set is going to be what we use. So the Blood Corrupted Tunic here is going to be what we have here. It's going to be 11 strength, 18 agility, and the tier set is going to be kind of bleh and just gives you 1 hit, 1 crit. But yeah, I mean, it's not going to be too bad. And the Coagulated Bloodguard Tunic, I think, might be good because it has high armor. It might be the tank set. But they're going to be, it looks like they're going to be quite comparable in terms of value. So we're going to have another Blood Corrupted Boots, 18 agility, not too much to talk about here. In terms of gloves, we're going to have the 12 agility, 1 hit gloves there. The hat we're going to be using is Bomb's Dusty Hat, but it looks really fucking cool. I can't wait to be rocking that in my full Sunken Temple Bisque gear. Again, we're going to have the Blood Corrupted Pants, 36 attack power, 1 crit. The shoulders, which I don't think are going to be that good, honestly, but they're going to be more of a tank-oriented shoulders. So as a tank rogue, I'm going to be using them. And then here we have the leather bracers and the leather belt. So yeah, you can see all the stats if you wanted to pause and look at every item. They're not that crazy, it's just more stats than we had before, but hey, what did we expect? At max level, I know for a fact that they're going to do things more interesting with the raid, like Molten Core tier sets. But until we get to that point, we're just going to have pretty bare bones, like stat stick items rather than crazy cool procs and whatnot. And then we could take a look at the blood harvest items, which I was talking about earlier, which is going to be the Gurubashi Backstabber. Same thing as the Raid Epic Dagger, but this one we're going to be getting from the PvP event. And then the other item we're going to be getting, which is going to be quite insane, I think, is the Bloodied Sword of Speed, which has a chance to give us 40% speed, which in my opinion has to be kind of cool. It'll be an offhand weapon. It's not going to be that quick, but the proc is going to be kind of nasty. And I'm thinking that we'll use it in the offhand, and then maybe we'll run something in the main hand. I'm not sure what we'll run for PvP, because if Mutilate is that much better than every other build we have, because we don't have a Hemo or Hemorrhage Rune, we're going to be using Double Dagger. So I'm not quite sure when we'll use this sword. Maybe if we run a Saber Slash PvP build, but then again, that puts a dot on the target, meaning we can blind and stuff. So maybe if we run a backstab build, we can have this in the offhand. I'm not sure. Again, I think it's another indication that Rogue is not being looked at as much as other classes right now, because we're seen as like a more complete class in Classic. However, I do think they gave us a cool item. They just really didn't think it through. We really, really, really need a Hemorrhage Rune or some type of rune to make Rogue PvP more fun, because as of right now, the only thing we can do is Mutilate, because if we don't run Mutilate, we simply don't do enough damage to compete with any of the other classes, which are getting crazy damage, crazy utility, crazy healing, crazy tankiness, and all we can do is fucking try to kill them before we get blown up. So again, cool item. I just don't know how or when we're going to use it. And then we got other items here that come with professions, but the Dark Moon cards are something that's quite interesting, so I thought that I might actually mention them. As you can see here, there's a card that can give energy back. That seems kind of cool. We'll have to submit. I don't know if these are going to be all that good. One that makes us leech healing from the target, one that allows us to summon a sandstorm, and a chance to torment the target, causing them to wander and suffering, which might be a PvP oriented one. So these are going to be quite expensive, I imagine, but hey, these are really cool trinkets we might be able to get in phase 3 as well. Look at the this is a look at the Gurubashi Backstabber from the PvP event. Honestly, it looks really cool. It looks like the dagger from Zul'Gurub, but without any of the effects on it. And then we have the Bloodied Sword of Speed, which kind of looks like dog shit. I mean, I wish they would have done something a little bit better with that. Oh, also, I wanted to mention here, if you look at the top, we have a sim sheet that Sam and I has actually created, and it'll be updated for phase 3, but as of right now, it's only for phase 2. But once phase 3 comes out and they work on it a little bit more, you'll be able to have a cooler looking sim sheet to do, instead of having to do what I'm doing here, which is look at a spreadsheet on Google. Instead, you'll have a more complete and well-rounded spreadsheet to sim all your gear, and it's a little bit more intuitive and easy to understand what you're doing with this sheet. But yeah, those are going to be all the changes for Rogue in phase 3. I think we have some good bangers here, like Carnage is a pretty cool ability where now we're going to be using Rupture in our rotation. So now we're going to have to be upkeeping 3 finishers, which is going to be interesting. Combat Potency will allow us to get more energy, which is going to be more fun, because obviously the one thing that is fun about Rogue is hitting Mutilate and Venoms, and now we're going to be able to do it more often with more energy. So yeah, I think Rogue is going to be okay in phase 3. We'll have to see if our damage is kind of cracked. Maybe it will be, maybe it won't. But yeah, I think Rogue will be good. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it or want to leave a comment in the description or in the comment section below, go ahead and do that. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching.